tale of the Salem sorceress is steeped in the grim history of the Salem witch trials of 1692. At that time, people in Massachusetts valued literacy for reading the Bible, so both men and women were often taught to read to engage with scripture. However, education for women was typically limited to basic literacy and domestic skills. Women were expected to focus on household duties, child-rearing, and religious devotion, not scholarly or intellectual pursuits, which were seen as male domains. Formal schooling, like dame schools or town schools, was primarily for boys. Girls might learn to read at home or in informal settings, but advanced education was reserved for men preparing for clergy or leadership roles. Harvard College, founded in 1636, was exclusively male. Women who displayed too much knowledge, especially in areas like herbalism, midwifery, or anything deemed unorthodox, could be viewed with suspicion. During the witch trials, women like Tituba or Bridget Bishop were targeted partly because their behaviors or knowledge deviated from accepted norms, fueling accusations of witchcraft. Intellectual curiosity in women could be seen as unnatural or even diabolical. While no singular Salem sorceress is definitively named in historical records, the story often coalesces around figures like Tituba, Bridget Bishop, or other women accused of witchcraft, blended with legend and imagination. What follow is a story grounded in this historical context. In the bitter winter of 1692, the small Puritan village of Salem, Massachusetts, was a tinderbox of fear and piety. The community, bound by rigid faith and suspicion of the devil's work, teetered on the edge of hysteria. Among them lived a woman, Eliza Hawthorne, a composite of the accused, though her story echoes the real trials. Eliza was a widow, living on the outskirts of Salem Village, her small cottage surrounded by gnarled oaks and whispering pines. She was known for her knowledge of herbs, her quiet defiance of the church's stricter edicts, and her unsettling habit of speaking to the wind, as if it answered back. Eliza had come to Salem years before, her origins murky. Some said she was born in the colonies. Others whispered of distant lands, perhaps the Caribbean. Like Tituba, the enslaved woman whose tales of fortune-telling sparked the first accusations. Eliza's ways were peculiar. She brewed teas that cured fevers, wove charms from twigs and thread, and spoke of dreams that seemed to foretell small truths. A lost cow found, a storm averted. To some, she was a healer. To others, a sorceress consorting with dark forces. The trouble began when young girls in the village, Betty Paris, Abigail Williams, and others, fell into fits, screaming of visions, spectral figures pinching them, voices whispering in the dark. The village doctor, finding no physical cause, declared it witchcraft. Fingers pointed quickly and Eliza's name surfaced. Her independence, her refusal to bow fully to the magistrates, and her uncanny knowledge made her a target. The girls claimed to see her specter dancing with the devil under the moonlight, sealing her fate in their fevered testimonies. Eliza was arrested in the spring, her trial a spectacle of fear and fervor. The court, led by men like John Hathorne and Samuel Sewall, heard tales of her bewitching livestock to death and cursing crops. Neighbors, once grateful for her remedies, now swore she'd hexed them. Eliza stood defiant, her dark eyes unyielding, denying the charges but refusing to confess to a lie. "I know the earth's secrets," she said, "but I bend no knee to Satan." Her words, meant to clear her, only damned her further in the eyes of the devout. The gallows on Proctor's Ledge claimed her life by summer's end, one of 19 hanged during the trials. But the story of the Salem sorceress didn't end there. Whispers persisted that Eliza's spirit lingered in the woods, her cottage never reclaimed, its hearth cold but untouched by time. Villagers spoke of strange lights flickering where she once lived, of herbs growing unnaturally lush around her grave. Some said she'd cursed Salem itself, her final breath a vow that the town would never know peace, a prophecy some tied to its later decline. By the 18th century, as the trials became a shameful memory, Eliza's tale grew into legend. She became the Salem sorceress, a figure of both dread and fascination. Storytellers wove her into cautionary tales, a woman who wielded forbidden knowledge, whose power, real or imagined, challenged the iron grip of Puritan rule. Some modern retellings paint her as a proto-feminist, a victim of a patriarchal society that feared women who defied norms. Others lean into the supernatural, claiming her spells still echo in Salem's haunted corners. The Salem witch trials saw over 200 people accused, with 19 executed by hanging, 1 pressed to death, and several dying in jail. Women like Tituba, Bridget Bishop, and Sarah Good were among the first targeted, often due to their outsider status, unconventional behavior, or simply because they had too much money. The trials stemmed from a mix of religious zeal, social tensions, and mass hysteria. fueled by the girl's accusations and spectral evidence. No definitive sorceress existed in Massachusetts, but the accusations and persecutions of women were real,